So good evening, welcome to the Donny Chaingang. We're live in the Full Speed Event Studio. Yes, we're back underground. We're back in the studios and we're back bringing you some of the best action that you can get that isn't technically a race because, of course, it's a ramped workout that almost invariably ends in a race. Come on, we know it does. However, what we do need our riders to do is to make sure they follow the instructions. So if you're watching this live, welcome to the Chaingang. Make sure, guys, you've read what you need to do. It's dead simple. Make sure you stay around that yellow beacon until Russ gives the go, go, go. When the go, go, go goes, there are no limits. You can ride as slow, i.e. like me, or as fast, i.e. like Russ, as you would want to do. It's that simple. Find a group, jump on, make mates, talk, whatever you want. Chat, chit-chat, talk about cake. Speaking of cake, DCG was yesterday. It was another amazing ride and one of the best rides and some great spirit on there. Great to see. Now, our riders are lined up. You can see them just over there. And before we go any further, please, guys, remember, it is Nonna's week this week and next week. And next week, we are going to be giving away 2 members of the DCG gang. That's the supporters club. We're going to be doing 5, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 giveaways. And that is going to be for members of the DCG gang. So to say thank you. Thanks, guys, for keeping the show on the road, for making sure that the route is all plumbed by Russ, that the training is done, that we supported everybody, that we've sent the links out, done the ticketing, all the things that make it happen. Now, that can only happen because people donate. And, of course, Donna's are helping those members. And they've got a 20% discount as well. Sounds even better each time, doesn't it? Let's join the gang. You can do that for April. And we've got one of the people you see up there coming back. They're going to be back with us. 1080, OTE, Gritty, along with Continental, Vazkin, Halo, and Nonnas have been looking after the Moses DCG gang. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. Now, before we go any further, let's show you where you're heading. We are going to do a little bit of tech, as you can tell. I'm doing directing sound and producing and everything along the way. So we're going to head straight into our route. This is the Muckle Yin, or the big one. As we all know, the big yin from Billy Connolly days. It is a 52-kilometre ride in total. We have a 0.2k lead-in. We do 2 full laps of the circuit, which uses every road in Scotland on Zwift, before we come back in and round to go through. And the sprint is the green sprint. That's the champion sprint, is the lap. 2 laps of that. Total elevation, 564 metres. Now, Russ is in charge, of course, multi-time former national champion. He's at the front. He calls the shots in terms of the route and where we go and how fast we go. Adi Dench is our red beacon. He is going to be mopping up the bodies at the back, and they are going to be mopped up because, as you can see, this is the profile of the route at the moment. And this is courtesy of the amazing team at VeloViewer. That's a bit complicated to take in at a quick glance. This is a bit simpler. You've got 2 times this, guys. That's what you're going to be facing. So without further ado, time for us to dive down in with the riders on the Chaingang, who are at the moment heading out. And I think we've even got a relatively local rider in Jimmy Mack. So remember that course profile. Remember, this is the man you're following. It's the man in yellow. So we are going to dive in. You can see the riders are out on to the course. We're just watching one of our chef rate riders making his way through Glasgow. So we're going to jump in with them. Let's start on the Donny Chaingang. So here we go. We are in with the riders. So you can just see the gang just starting to make its way out from the pens. And don't forget, of course, the aim here is to stay around the yellow beacon. It's really simple. Now, just going to take a little bit of a look. Looks like a couple of people just doing a late join, and there are going to be big numbers here tonight when we get everybody on board. So please, guys, make sure you follow the riders. This is our start-finish line coming up. We're just riding in with Finley Hudson, one of our youngsters, and as you can see, we're about to hit that start line. Let's get a good view of the start-finish country. This is it. I've been here in real life a number of times. I've eaten in the pub just on the right side there quite a few times. This is your start-finish line as you come in and through. We have 2 laps to go, as Russell said. Oh, absolutely loving that. Well done, mate. 2 laps to go. So don't forget, this is the anti-penultimate time. Next time will be the penultimate time through, and then we'll be in at the finish. So this is when you know this is where we're heading. Now, I've just seen Stefano Borelli. Stefano on the in the squadra jersey. Key man. Oh, look at that. He's just disappeared. He's thrown the ghost in already and disappeared off our screen super fast. So better just jump out for the moment now. Hoping everybody is out. 80 Dench is our red beacon. We're going to work our way back through this bunch. You can see we're just dropping our way back past Russ. And we're just going to take a look. Richie Woodall just chasing on at the moment. And looks like he's just making his way into the group. Richie has got company. The riders are making their way up to the bunch at the moment. Really key to dive in and get in those wheels as we head out. So we're now coming out from Glasgow, and immediately, it's not like this in real life, believe me, you're out. Stefano, I know, I was giving you the big up as well. You're good to see this message board is working well, as Stefano is watching the gang as well. So we come out of Glasgow and we're very quickly in. Now, had this been Edinburgh, I would have believed this because, of course, you've got Arthur's Seat right next door. But, of course, this is the power of Zwift, the wonders of the virtual world. And at the moment, Richie Woodall just making his way onto 80 Dench's wheel as they come up and in, coming through the pillars and going in across the bridge. Now, this is an incredibly diverse and tricky route. Really key here to make sure that you get this dialed. First time, every time. Really important because there's only 2 laps. It is a bumpy course. Now, Wayne Barr is on. Wayne is on. Good day, all. Wayne, of course, now resident in Scotland and somebody who knows most of these roads pretty well one way or another. So just watching these riders on the way round. Interesting to see we've got Claire Richardson from the Aeonian squad back in with us again. One of our regular riders, often one of our fastest finishers. And we have, of course, the Aeonian squad, #1 squad on Zwift regularly. And they are, of course, home forever. And we're, of course, often joining me for the commentary as well as being the DS for one of the squads and a regular rider on Zwift. Co-commentator on lots of esports as well as in real life. And looking forward to what is going to be a really busy summer. Looking forward to heading up to Glasgow. I had a very interesting phone call that I had to jump off. Sorry, Susie. To jump on to the coverage. And the team, they're working hard. Lots of work being put into bringing you some amazing World Championships. I'm really looking forward to what happens up there. Now, 80 Cent, is anybody off the back? That's your job, AD. Let's have a double check. Richie is hovering around the back. But as far as we know, nobody is. There is a really easy way to go. Let's have a little look. We'll look at our... Oh, look. Here we go. There is nobody between Timote, the shampoo, and listen, if Alpecin can sponsor a team, we can have a rider called Timote. That's kind of how it works. Unless Alpecin want to sponsor the Chaingang, in which case they're more than welcome. So here we go. Just coming alongside Mr. Moore. It is 80 Dench, and as you can see, we're just making our way along the lock side here. We're going to come in to the roundabout, and essentially, you really need to keep your eyes on this. It is all as one at the moment. I'm going to keep our helicopter flying up above. It might be expensive when we're out on the roads, out and around the various championships. But of course, on Zwift, our helicopter is very handy, as well as our drone. Here we go. I'm liking the fact that our red beacon is already getting some earache from the yellow beacon. So it looks like Eddie already up at the front and squeezing his way in and through. And Russ just dropping off towards the back. Now, I reckon I can see Jimmy in here. Jimmy is, of course, Jimmy Mack, regular rider on the Chaingang. Also a key man when it comes to the Scottish training squad, a former national champion himself, and all-round good guy as well. It's Jimmy. Nice to have Jimmy back on board as well, and he'll be keeping an eye on what his charges get up to out and about. We will work our way up through to the front. Now, I'm sure I have just seen the legend that is Manon Lloyd. Some great content coming out from GCN at the moment, and Manon from GCN in here. wearing the GCN Plus jersey there, and great to have Manon back on board once again. So Manon jumping on the Donny Chaingang, very fast rider. Some great tech and some really entertaining videos, and of course GCN bringing a lot of coverage as part of the Warner Bros. Part of that Discovery Plus network with Eurosport, GCN, and the whole network bringing some great coverage. But of course, the in-depth cycling and the videos coming from Manon and all of the team. So if you want to know which bike's lightest, which bike is more aero, is aero better than non-aero, how good is the old bike versus the new bike, make sure you jump on there. So much great coverage in, and I know everybody on the gang basically loves riding the bike. Make sure you do so and keep up to date with all the tech on there. So our riders heading out, Manon tucked in nicely. Very interesting. We've got Claire Richardson and Manon on here because we know that Manon's going to be right up there. This is the other M. Lloyd. This is going to be Morgan. Evening, Morgan. So on the way in. So you can see we've got Morgan as well as Manon. Manon's the one who gets the proper T-shirt with the little orange logo, and the orange jersey now. Looks like Tim Baggs on board. Tim, of course, had the inevitable job of being a beacon last week. Did a cracking job of that. Just keeping an eye on these riders coming through. Bobby Mason tucked in here nicely. Carl Johnson in with this group. Beefy from Cycleways is in here as well. So it looks like Eddie, just the red beacon, the sweeper just off the back here. We've got Tracy the Terminator on board as well. Mr. McKinley in here. Looks like Chris Goddard just doing a late join. Chris, pedal like heck, mate. Get yourself on board. This is our little steep climb coming in. Lots of our riders will have done this before. So great to see the chat already nice and busy. So our riders coming sweeping round. Adie's just got himself back on to the back of the group. The communication working well. The force is strong with our riders tonight. And the gang looking good as they come in and through. Just keeping an eye on the board here. So this is a absolutely cracking route. Apart from, we also have the advantage of doing a little bit more flatland route on the way through. It's basically a combination of rolling highlands, etc. Well, the pipes playing in the background for our riders as they come in and through the arena space here. All Romanesque arches. So our riders in over the top of the breakaway Bray reverse. Now we basically cover every road on the Scottish Worlds in both directions. So remember, guys, don't chase the front. Any Muppets, let them go. We'll just play the Muppet tune. They make themselves look silly. Try and stay with the group if you are watching live. And don't forget, guys, do a late join if you get distance. Really key. It is make sure you do a late join. So John from Bolsover District, one of the best clubs in the business, I should know, came to my rescue today. The Full Speed Events van decided to leave most of its fifth gear somewhere between Eckington and Worksop. And we've been helped out by one of the gang members, one of our regular riders on the gang on the Facebook page, and in fact a former supporter as well in the shape of Dan. So a massive thank you to the guys who are sorting out the big black Full Speed Events wagon, and hopefully it will be back on the roads before we're due back in France next. In the meantime, you'll probably see me riding my bike a lot on the way through. So if I look a shadow of my former self in a few days' time, you'll know why. And the gang working really, really well together. Chris Goddard just weaving his way in. Matton just on the chase at the moment, just making his way up to the group. Just going through the misty section here on Rolling Highlands. And just a quick reminder, this is every road basically in Scotland, in all directions pretty much. Although we do go through Glasgow in the one direction. That basically means that we go through the sprint there, and that is our lap line on the way through. So Claire Richardson, Tracy the Terminator, and Manon Lloyd riding in that female category here on the Chaingang. And we've got to remember, of course, that we had the WOW DCG, the Women Only Wednesday Chaingang yesterday on the YouTube channels as well as on the Facebook channels, multi-streaming across a number of platforms. And of course, doing so meant that a lot of people managed to get a watch of what was an absolutely cracking gang. And Tracy Seeley was on a bit of a mission. Where she pulled out that last sprint from, I don't know, because I don't think anybody had anything left in their legs as they came in to that finish. But pulled out a big old sprint on the way through. You can see we've got Chris Ball back on here. The machine Joe Blackburn took the win, indeed, as Yellow Beacon. And remember, if you're watching the WOW DCG, the last of the winter-spring season 2022-23 season on the WOW DCG will be next week on Wednesday. So if in doubt, tell anybody who is able to ride it, who obviously qualifies for the Women Only Wednesday Donny Chaingang, that next week is the last WOW DCG. So if you want to jump on, then do it. I'm afraid, Tracy, it is indeed the last of that season. Watch out, though, for pop-ups. Watch out on the Facebook page for more details of all sorts of other bits and pieces going on. And Tracy, you probably don't need telling that. So let's see. How many more regular DCG? We run till the end of April. April is going to be the last month before we take a break for the summer. The summer is already lining up to be incredibly busy. We've got the Elite Crit Series, which looks like we're going to be at. We are going to also be at the World Championships in Glasgow, doing various disciplines up there. Really looking forward to that as well. We'll be still operating on a Sunday. We'll be putting words to esports cycling action on the Sundays. Touch wood, fingers crossed, and all that right the way through, including that $1 million championship that is coming out soon. We also will be putting words to the action, hopefully for a number of other disciplines as well, and some more in real-life events. Going to be heading out to Tour as well. That is on the plan for some real-life stuff, as well as plenty of bike riding. Now, riders on to the climb. I'm hoping we have no more Scottish routes in on the DCG for next month, basically. It's really easy for me because it means most of the graphics stay the same. But I have to say, really important that we have that variety, and Russ doing an amazing job. Tim Bag said he's just seen himself in the guts in here. So let's see how we're going on the way up. So going to need a break when we come in to the spring season, summer season. So it's going to be really, really busy. Matt Nunn, where the weather is this spring, we might need longer. Yeah, basically you might. Watch this space in terms of what goes on over the summer. Watch the YouTube channels. Make sure you follow Russ on social media. Of course, make sure you stay tuned to the Donny Chaingang Facebook page. Last summer we had the In Real Life rides, and yet to get a customary ride in with the people who make that happen. That is Vin and Tracy, otherwise known as Vodka and Tonic. And hopefully get a chat with them soon out on the bike over the next month or so to get some kind of vague plan together. Don't forget, of course, we've also got the social media for Full Speed Events. That's at Full Speed Events. It also covers the events when we are on the big screen for a number of different platforms. And remember, of course, we do broadcast on a multitude of platforms, which does mean that we are going to be available and around on a number of different things. So, guys, make sure you get a view, link, follow, subscribe, whatever you need to do just to stay in touch. Remember, of course, the community is there for everybody, and the Chain Gang is there for everybody. It is there to support our riders. It is always bad news when you hear that somebody has decided not to be on there. IRL DCG 2023, bring it on, Matt. The planning is on. Excellent. Are we having a cake stop somewhere at a cafe to do the planning? I hope we are, with lots of coffee. That's the plan. Struggling to chat on here, no surprise. Now, as Russ says, key here is not to let any gaps go. Any gaps in the group as we come up, and this is a particularly knife-edged summit here, is a big issue, because what happens is that the wind gets in the gap, the riders don't get to stay on the wheels, and it breaks. Tracy's not playing if there's no cake. Have you ever been on a ride with me and there be no cake, Tracy? It doesn't happen. Believe me. We will visit somewhere with cake. It will happen. All planning happens. Might have to do it in Nonnas. That would be a great planning venue. I'm loving the fact there's multiple chats going on the board. As per usual, on the way through, good to see the Mountain Goat is out in the background. You can just see it behind our riders. We're just focusing on Keith Richardson, one of our winners regularly on the draws, because he's a member right the way through the year of the DCG gang, one of our regular riders in the gang. I didn't have any cake last time watching my figure. Yeah, watching it expand with all the non-riding that's going on at the moment, and having to do a whole lot of building work and other things in preparation for other events and other things that are coming up. Russ Downing, last week was fun. My legs and lungs disagreed, though. I quite agree. I had an entertaining time watching you lot ride up and down this hill 1,001 times, trying to keep up with everybody. But I have to say, it was tough stuff. And I can tell you off by heart that this is the final spiral before the summit, because we went over this 8 times in this direction and 7 times in the opposite directions. Mr. Mason saying it's definitely one of his favourites. Very interesting that the sprint win with 15 of these on the way up. 15 sets of the on the way up. Basically came down to the sprint at the end, and it was a fantastic sprint win. It wasn't a climber who took the win. It was the one and only Russ Downing taking the win. Although it has to be said, if you were to pick a course that was designed for Russ's sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop, begin here. It's not about winning, Matt. It is. Once you get to the go, then it is. I only said it once there. At the moment that trigger point is pulled, the chain gang up to that point is not. But then there is definitely the win emphasis. Once you reach that point, and if you can't contain yourselves to the point that Russ pulls the trigger, then really maybe you need to go see somebody for some medical help, because it's not very difficult, really, just to ease off for the first however long. Is Russ a sprinter? Ooh, I've seen Russ sprint in national crits. I've seen Russ sprint in the Tour of Ireland. Actually played Russ the Fonzie and the Happy Days tune when he came up on to stage on Tour of Ireland when I was managing the Stars. I have to say that Russ was can sprint, yeah. He definitely counts as a sprinter at times. Come on. He's fast. He's got a good kick on him. A good ruler, maybe. Now, just keeping an eye on this as we go down. You see the gap starting to open at the back here. This is where you've really got to squeeze on. If you get distance now, you're going to be in big trouble. So if you are any of those riders at the back, you need to push. And you need to push now. The front group will ease slightly at the bottom, but not for long. You really need to be kicking. And if you are not on the lead group now, you need to get there, and get there quick. The train will leave the station. You will be left behind on the platform, looking very sorry for yourself, a bit like me in Worksop earlier on. So please, guys, kick if you're at the back, if you're with our red beacon. If you are out and around this group, you need to move, and you need to move now. You need to be on those wheels. If you are Mr. Taylor, Mr. Goodwin, Mr. Richardson, Mr. Gillard, this is all about getting on now. It looks like Jimmy Mack in a position to help out there. Looks like A.D. Dench is trying to bring this group back in. Richie Woodall is just dropping back to give a little bit of assistance here. But as you can see, this descent that comes in now is a very fast descent down here. We are going to pick up some really big speed down here very quickly, and if you're not careful, you get yourself distance. It's only minus 2% as we come over the top of the bridge, over the river going into the lock, but it is a long descent, and that bunch really picks up speed. But the group coming back together again, fantastic to see that group come back together. And look at that, it is Gruppo Compacto. Does it get any more compact than that? Beautiful. One rider off the back. Who is it? Who's yo-yoing at the back? Let's take a look, shall we? Let's work our way, ladies and gents, to the back of the group. So if you're watching Chaingang for the first time, this is a ramped workout. Your leader for the ride is Russ Downing. Russ is the man who controls the pace. He basically tells us when it's going to pick up. The pack will automatically pick up the pace basically on its own. Russ needs to give very few instructions to go faster. He generally has to give instructions just to hold back a little bit, particularly on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. On the WoW DCG, it's actually the opposite. We generally find that it's a much more structured, and they went over 4 watts per kilo before the trigger was bold. Now the gang are coming back in up onto this spiral climb, coming in through the castle gates once again. At the moment, looks like one rider on the back here, and again just being a distance here. Yep, there's definitely no fence. We don't put a fence on, we don't enforce it. We can, we choose not to. We rely on people's honesty. Now looks like a dub bonk needing to push on here. Been yo-yoed off the back for some reason. Looks like Beefy about 3 seconds up the road here. This big climb just catching Beefy out here. Russ Downing just a mallet to Muppets. We have been known to play the whole Muppet tune at those riders. We also do take evidence, so it's not just about being on there. So we don't just follow the riders like Beefy. Colin, good to have you on the gang. But we also record the show, not just the one that you see, but we also record from different points of view in the gang on the way through to monitor the ride. There's a reason there's a registration in there. It is indeed Whack-a-Muppet on the front. Anybody who plays Silly Whatsits. So there you go, right hand turn. Yeah, back at the start you need a fence. Lots of them did. Right, here we go. Beefy from Cycleways in there. Mr. Mason, I couldn't do the WOW DCG. I don't get to 4 watts per kilogram after the GO. Yes, you do. I know you do, Mr. Mason. So good to have Colin on here for Beefy from Cycle Waste. It looks like now man just chasing on the back here. New and yo-yoing. Dutchy Pirate, don't bonk. Yeah, mate. Get in with the yellow beacon. Stay with the yellow beacon. Don't move from the yellow beacon. Stay with the yellow beacon. Don't move from the yellow beacon. Stay with the yellow beacon. Until the trigger is pulled by Russell. Give me his posh name. Look at that. When that happens, that's when everybody can do what's it they want. That's straightforward. So here you go, Keith Richardson back in the gang. He's getting a lot of coverage tonight, is Keith. He hasn't paid me for it either. I don't know. But we've got back in, look at that. As if by magic with Stefano. So Stefano is in here. Stefano is your host at Nonna's. He is absolutely star host, one of the nicest guys you're going to meet. And don't forget, guys, if you want to go, if you're a member of the DCG gang, 20% discount at the moment all the way through. Live music through the week on the way through. Josie Ray and is the current musician in the venue, if my memory serves me correctly, down at Donny. So the host of lots of different riders in different artists in there, lots of different riders going down to eat as well. So make sure you get down there and go see Stefano in here, Maurizio in as well, and great to see the gang. So Mr. Mason saying must be close to 250 DCGs. Carl Johnson, it's great when you're on the other group rise and they mention how good we are. Yes! Moment of truth. That's what you want. Let's face it, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100 is absolutely. Good to see Trevor Crehan on here. Regular DCG riders. And good to see Trevor really flying at the moment. So coming in and through, guess what? Spiral climb coming up, but in the opposite direction this time round. I think, if I remember correctly. Russell's lost count how many he's done. So have I, mate. I don't have enough fingers and toes, despite living in Eckington. Hope they're not listening outside the studios. Mr. Mason reckons he's missed 5 at most. Wow. Russ reckons he's missed 10 to 12. I reckon both of you are probably slightly low with your numbers over the course of the last what is fast approaching 3 years. Benny Moore, Velo Viewer could tell you. Yes, if you've recorded all your rides on Strava. And he can't tell me how many of the coverages that we put out there. I haven't worked out how many hours of coverage we put out. It would be a lot. It's a technical term for lots and lots. Velviewer could tell us exactly where we've been, that's for sure. Don't forget, of course, Velviewer, based in Sheffield. Anyone here done every one? No, nobody, Leon, has managed to do every one that we know of. There are people very, very close, but nobody that I know of has done every one. If you think you have, please, please, please do let us know. And at the end of this season, here's a mission for everybody. At the end of this season, go back into your records, go on to Zwift and to your account for the rides, dive onto Strava, onto VeloViewer. Please work out how many you've done. Let's have an idea. Get it up on the Facebook pages and put it in there. Put it in there, ideally before the last one. Used to be only 10 riders when it started, with Bolty's Permanent Red and Jimmy on helping sweep. In fact, let's put it this way, before Bolty was the permanent sweep, we had no sweep. And we ended up with that. Thank you very much, Tom. Russ and I were doing it. A lot, we do spend way too much time doing this. But you know what, we do it because the gang is absolutely mega. We've worked very hard to create a community. And it's worked, which is brilliant. 45 was the lowest numbers. if you discount the test rides that we did, which were part of the Down in Cycling Coach gang, where we were doing some of the test rides and some of the test kit, it was be very interesting. Before YouTube coverage, BYC liking it. Before YouTube coverage, there were not many before YouTube coverage. In fact, I think there was about 2 where we were actually covering them, but we didn't broadcast them deliberately because there was a lot of testing going on behind the scenes to make sure it worked. Russ's YouTube coverage, indeed. I remember it, Russ, very well. DCG has been around longer than some of the riders on here. Yeah, definitely. And we've discovered some very fast riders too. Russ streaming, riding, chatting, bang. Yeah. Yeah, indeed. That was very true, Russ. No, we have discovered some very quick riders. Including a certain Tom Lindley. Mr. Lindley, of course, regularly racing now. And a rider who we saw on the gang and has had lots of support. We've supported quite a lot of people. It's been made possible by the riders on there. Now, it's also been made possible by some fantastic supporters. The guys at Halo, Josh Mayland, one of those. Might not remembering when Tom Lindley was indeed young Tom Lindley. Yeah, he's not allowed to be called young Tom Lindley anymore. So our runners on the way back through. Josh Mayland just squeezing onto the back of the group. Josh, of course, from Halo Wheels on his way in and through. We had 30 seconds before YouTube. And then when Russ had Alienware and Matt had a choppy PC2. Yeah. Yeah. Tom is running. We'll be on Eurosport next season, only to pay us a big fat fee, Tom. Believe me. That's so. We would quite happily put it onto the Discovery Network, but only if we keep the coverage. Yeah, I hope you were listening there, man. The biggest weight change would be interesting. Yeah, plus and minus as well from the Fat Cyclist. Mason was 110 kilograms on the first DCG. Mr. Mason, what are you now? Tom Lindley's now got his race license. His official British cycling one. There you go. Interesting to see. So, we're going on it. Manon Lloyd, she's on it. Excellent. Loving it, Manon. 93 to 73 during the DCG era for Mason down to 94 from 110. A 16 kilo loss. Who else has lost or gained weight? Can I play this game? Because I've gone from 88.8 to 77.4, and I'm back at 79 at the minute, bouncing about. Hank loved it, but he kept on crashing. Yeah, Hank has done loads. Yeah, some mega FTP increases. Biggest FTP increases, most regular string of FTP increases. Always good. Yeah, Russ will be down to 45 kilos for that. Yeah, I know, Tom. You know, he's such a light. He's super light. Let's have a little check. Looks like everybody going well. Steve Cullen in here. Told him he went from 50 to 65. Wow. That is... he's still skinny little whippet. At that kind of weight. Speaking of fellow viewer, John Wiles in here. John, definitely one of our fast riders and a regular rider on here. John from Fellow Viewer. The people who bring you the tiles, bring you the extra stats and the info. Get on there, get on to those accounts. John, I'm probably going to be in touch with you and Ben very shortly. I have a very good, very interesting little project that we're going to be working on over the summer and into winter. Might be something we can work on together, so expect that call. Right, so a little bit of chat about Mallorca. Remember the gang going out there. Russ will be out in Mallorca. And the gang will be out there. They went out last year and going back out this year. Get yourselves onto the Facebook page for the details. Russ and Adam, I think, is going to be able to answer questions on there. Yes, we've got John Dixon. I'll tell you something. If the club, if there was a prize for the club, we've been chatting all the way up this climb, which is pretty cool because we're now going to go into the descent. If there was a prize for the club with the most club riders on the DCG and WoW DCG over the years, it would definitely be Bolsover and District. I think they have the most riders on there. They've currently got tonight, I make it 4, if not 5 of their riders on. I don't count. I'm not actually riding. Russ, I don't think anybody is off the front. I hate to break it to you. You're going to do a double check?
No one's off the front. Nobody's not pedalling.
Nobody's pedalling like a loon. In fact, the only people on the front have probably got an anvil or something. Yeah, it's anvilized the way down. Bolsover was massive at the start. It was. At one point, I think we had 20 Bolsover riders. I think we now currently have 5 or 6. But if anyone else, any of the other clubs have had big rides on here, let us know if you think you can be up there. Chris Ball, for example, on here. Regular at Bolsover. We've got John Hind on here tonight for Bolsover as well. Bolsover in District CC. Of course, based right in the right area to be out and bashing on those roads. Why would you not save the anvil? Good point. It is indeed devastating here, as Mr. Mason well knows. Looks like Russ is just going flying now. Matt Goodwin, what's the anvil for? It basically works on downhills only, increases your weight, and makes you fly down like an absolute loon. It's a bit like being a pig cut on the way down. Who's off the front? Loving it. Who do you think? It'd be the Yellow Beacon this time. It did say who. Sorry. Now, let's have a look at the back. It looks like we've got a few bodies just playing catch-up after the climb. Let's take a little bit of a run. Mr. Robertson working his way on that descent now. Beefy from Psychoways. Jim Flynn, I think, just being distanced. Mr. Mayland just dropping at the back here. Kirkham, Barani, none in here. We are working our way in and through at the moment. We are on 37.5 minutes. So the gang getting good to see Nick Murray back in with us. Nick again, another of our great racers. Good to see Nick enjoyed the crit racing that we had on Tuesday. Don't forget, of course, Russ is putting together routes for April. Let's see where he picks for our last month. Let's see how we get on. Now, coming back into town, we just go through the border and in towards town. Remember, of course, the crit course here is not your average flat crit course. For anybody that remembers the Tour series in Edinburgh, it's very similar to that. Yeah, Sean Ferron just in that. Yeah, Sean's another of our regular riders and another of the Bolsover, Mr. Callaway as well. We've got, of course, Maddie regularly on the gang. Lots of other riders coming in and through. A lot of support as well from Tim, helping us out with the tech and the PCs. But as you can see, our riders now making their way up. Don't mention that course, Matt. It was all your fault. I absolutely loved the Edinburgh course. It was Jimmy's design. It was mega. What I liked best was the post-race clear-up, where we would used to have running battles off the side of the trucks, going through the square and going up onto the cobbles. It was a great course. Cobbles, descent, virtual descent at the bottom. It was mega. Across the bridge. It was a star now. This hill hurt after by the end, of course, because when we were here for the crit, it was a multi-lapper coming through. Taylor Leach coming through. Because Taylor on the gang all once again. The gang just diving down here. Yeah, Jimmy Mack. In fact, I do seem to remember actually bumping into Jimmy actually on some steps outside some pub somewhere. That probably that night on the way through. Maybe it's the night before. There's so many events up there. It's quite scary these days. Okay, Mr. Lindley. Speaking of Mr. Lindley, no longer young Tom Lindley, on his way down. Looks like just Lobo roll it in here. Gillard, Kirkham, Barali, Flynn, Mayland just dropping off. Robertson, Beefy also distance on the way through. Jimmy McCartney. No, I think it was me. No, it was you sat on the step with your missus. Sure it was. So the riders are well on the way around the circuit at the moment. You can see the gang coming through town. In with Harry Hudson at the moment, all 15 years old of him, one of our regular winners on here. It's like Eddie just trying to bring riders back up whilst they've still got the chance onto the back of the group. You can see coming up over this next little riser at the moment. Going to take the left-hand turn here. And remember, of course, we have got one lap to go as we come in and through. So one more lap of exactly what we've just done to finish off. When we hit the green banner, which is the sprint banner, which is also the start-finish. So here we go. We finish on this sprint next lap. This sprint next lap. One lap to go. One lap left to go. Easy on the trigger, says Mr. Nunn. Mr. Nunn is our official lap timer, our unofficial lap timer. So here we go. Let's go around again. In the words, what was the song? Mr. Mason. Apologising to both mats simultaneously. So there we go. We are now with one lap. It's not like you don't know where you're going, guys. You've just done the whole of the lap already. 42 minutes in, one lap done. So many banners. Indeed, Mr. Mazzoni, I finally agree with something you've said. Last round, indeed. Don't forget, the last episode of the Crosscast is out. It's out and heading your way. And it could be in your inbox, in your ears, live with Neil Mansfield and myself, discussing all things cyclocross. If you doubt, jump on there. Controversy, suggestions, arguments, bit of laughter. Best riders of the season, dive on there. Now, let's get back to the virtual world of Zwift. Heading out of Glasgow once again. As you can see, making our way out of town. And we're onto the Rolling Hounds again. 80 just patrolling the back of the group. So this group has been whittled down. Number of riders off the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just proving that count. 4 riders off the back. Mr. Dunn needs his fan turning up. It's a long way for me to get to you, Matt, at the moment. As a logistics person, you should have had that sorted on the way through. So looking good at the moment. Mr. Dunn, of course, a late joiner. Looks like both Morgan and Manon riding strongly in this group and pretty comfy in here. Not the only riders in. Who else is tucked in here? I think Liam Calloway is in the GCN kit as well. Here he is. Eddie Dench, glad he's tapered for this one. Yeah, you're too right. Now, if you want to know how hard it is being the beacon, for those of you who are into your scores on the doors, into your TSS scores, your training stress score, basically the stats from Neil from Gritty, who is one of our key supporters as well as a regular rider, it is really interesting, but essentially it boils down to your TSS for being a red beacon is the same as staying with the front group. If you stay in the middle of the group, you don't have as high a score, but if you are a red beacon working at the back, you will be having as hard a workout, if not harder, than having to stay at the front if you are a rider capable of staying in there, which Neil is. So it shows you just how tough it is going backwards and forwards, trying to bring everybody in and out. So this group looking good together. We've started to lose a few riders off the back of the pack, but red is indeed a tough rider. Greg Pillsworth saying the same there. It's a tough workout. Very, very tough workout. And of course you're there looking after everybody else, and you've got to try and keep up, and you're trying to balance staying with the last rider on the road and helping as many people as possible. Now, sometimes that is the same thing. On certain courses, building a big bus is the way forward. On other courses, it's definitely not. It's character building being red, says Chris. Definitely, I'd agree with that. It is definitely one of the toughest roles out there, but it's a great one to see. And we've got to say a massive thank you to those people who have been red beacons on the Donny Chaingang, those people who've been yellow and red beacons on the WoW DCGs on Wednesday. And of course, doing all of that volunteer work. It's Jimmy Allen, who's our standing beacon for Russ, who's been called into action on a number of occasions on the way through. Less this spring than I think at any time in the previous periods, but still there and ready and waiting to spring into action all the same. Got to say a big thank you to them. A big thank you to Mark Chamberlain, of course, and as well as Tim Cooper on the tech side, as well as lots of the other riders on the way around. And it looks like Jim and Stefano just getting together a little bit further back in the group as the gang comes in through. We're just going to try and take a roll back. You have to apologise for the jumpy screen right now. Hey, so Stefano and Jim, there we go, are almost together. So Stefano and Jim are going to form a duo on the way through. I think both riders in blue. Jim going to be in the lighter blue, Stefano in the darker blue, and it looks like Gillard in the middle. Stefano from Jim, the autocorrect doing its stuff. Just to ask him when he is, when Stefano is going to be Stephanie. So the gang looking good together. We're at 47 minutes. All is going relatively quiet on the way through. We are 27k in to the raid. Good to see Dr. D in here working well. Rowan, another of our regular riders on the Chaingang. Always great to have Rowan on board as well. Another of our regulars. Sam Emsley in here. His partner in crime, not with us. I think Tristan Emtage, I think if I remember correctly, over in Ireland at the minute. Sampling Guinness. Yeah. I'm not sure that's what he does for a job, to be fair, but he's definitely out on the Guinness. Now, just keeping an eye on the back of this group, still looks like the patrolling being done by Eddie Dents. This long downhill section, very easy to get split up here. They're going to be sweeping around the bend and on to the spiral climb very shortly. And they are absolutely motoring down here. 55 kilometres an hour for Dr. D. 57 now. 58. Is he going to top 60 before we come in? 59. 60. There we go. Just makes 60 kph just coming in to the steeper section. This is that little kicker that regularly breaks it up. As Mr. Mason says, yeah, now's a good time for Mr. Mazzoni to go head off into the distance and go see to the calls of nature. However, this gang just coming up over this bank. Eddie sat on the back there, just keeping an eye on everybody as they come in and around. Looks like Wayne Barr tucks in nicely in this group. A regular on here, the Vel 44. And saw Jane was on the podium at the weekend. First round of the XC, the Scottish XCO series. And Jane, of course, a former winner of the National Series. So great to see her back on the podium. I think it was Cymru Croft, if I remember correctly, for the first one of the Scottish rounds. I might not be doing the National Mountain Bike commentary. It doesn't mean I'm not still paying attention, folks. I think mountain biking is far too ingrained in my blood to be able to just ignore what goes on the mountain bike scene. So just watching Priest, and the go has gone. Go has gone. The pressure will well and truly be on now. That is going to be some going. We are 29 kilometres in. And we're just taking a look here. They have just gone past riders go the opposite direction. That is how fast they are moving. You can see the pressure really is on at the front, and the group are trying to fight their way in there. Just keeping an eye. Looks like Man and Lloyd just about in here. It looks like Tracy the Terminator in this group. You can see Simon Oxenham right up at the front. Chris James in there. John Wild in there. Looks like Steve Wilson is in there. Steve, another rider who really is improving. A rider who's going out and racing as well. Good to see to be hitting the roast. Another man who's grabbing himself a race license. Neil Kerry in here, Taylor Leash in here. Looks like they are absolutely moving. Phil Oliver on the front coming through. This is going to be an absolute epic now, because remember, we have the climbs of the skirt to go to get up on to the top of the gear. It's going to take a bit of doing. This isn't called the Muckle Yin or the big one for nothing. It covers all of the rows, and you can see top right hand side of your screen just how stretched out this ride is now. Once that go is given, there are no limits. You can ride as fast or as slow as you want. It's all about staying in with that group as long as you can. For most people, for a select few, it's about really ripping up at the front and showing us that their legs can do the talking when it really, really matters. Now, looks like Oliver tucked in nicely at the moment in with this leading group. Russ in there, that yellow beacon, of course, in Dale Williams, just sitting on the back of that group at the moment. He's not going anywhere fast by the look of it. Richardson in there. Looks like Morgan Lloyd in there. Looks like Adams in there as well. They are all in this group. Jimmy Mack definitely in this leading pack. And remember, find a group. If you do get distanced, find a group, jump in, find some company, get riding, and enjoy the ride on the way through. All here, it's all about making sure that you get in and through. Now, Eddie Dench is going to have a really tough job here, because there are a lot of riders distance from the leading group. There's going to be a few people wanting to pull on, but I think it's time to form that bus at the back, and let's see how many people we can get in and through. You can see that we've got riders spread out right the way around this course, but we're currently in with Sadler, who is in with that leading group at the moment. Now, will it be Tom Mazzoni's day? Tom continuing to push here. He's tucked in with this group, the St. Piran rider coming through. So Saint coming through. St. Piran, of course, sponsoring a men's and women's team again this year. Some really great pictures coming out from one of the women's team camps. They're actually out on a mountain bike camp and putting in some great rides down there. It was great to see. Don't forget, of course, the team sponsored even have their own cider. It's absolutely cracking as well, I've got to say. Big thank you to Ricky for the bottles over the course of the last few years. Probably didn't do my figure much good, but definitely kept the throat in check. Now, Russ on a bit of a mission. That was a ghost from Russ. I'm sure it was. We've just seen Russ go for a long one here. He's gone on the attack. He is absolutely loving this course. And it looks to me like Morgan's gone after him at the moment. So it's Morgan Lloyd who's coming after the bear has attacked. It is bear attack time. He ghosted. He's put in a dig here. Now Morgan's gone over the top. Are they going to be able to keep on moving? This is on to the climb, and we know Russ loves this climb. For those of you that didn't hear, Yellowbeacon taking the win on our multiple ascents on the City of the Sker, which has basically had a mountaintop finish up here. So let's see what's going to happen. Can Russ repeat that? Another big attack. That looked like that was Varty just moving up and through there. But it is going to be Lindley who's going after Osman. Oh, look at this. Osman had a great ride on here on the way through. Is it going to be Russell Osman's day? So Russell Osman, then Tom Lindley. Lindley's got a steamroller really handy on this ascent here. You can see Lindley coming up on the heels of Osman and going over the top. And he's pushing out less watts per kilo and going away from him because of that steamroller power up there. So the gamification of Zwift allows you these random power-ups, the random power-ups of replicating the randomness of real life, whether you get hit in the face by a bird because when you're out and racing, when you get hit by a deer, when you get stitched for a puncture, whether you're the wrong side as the wind blows round, truck comes the other way, a trail crossing, all these sorts of things. You get caught in a shower, somebody later on in the race doesn't. All these little things can affect your ride, and that is why there's gamification in Zwift, and that is why it's great when you get a good one, and that's what Lindley did. He's used it to great effect, and it has destroyed the group behind. So it's Lindley in 1, it's Osman in 2, it's Woodall in 3, with Downing in 4, Wild in 5, Murray in 6, Mazzoni in 7, Jimmy Mack is in 8, It's Leon and Tom actually together, just coming up and through in this group. Looks like Phil Oliver to Leach in here. Simon Booth on another cracker ride. This man, if we talk about people who's done some of the most... Simon Booth has been on this thing since pretty much the word go. And again, another fast rider. Now, Harry Hudson tucked in here. We've got to remember, we are in the middle of race season as well. So a lot of riders actually are in the middle of race season. They're in the middle of the training programs. They've got to be making sure that they know what they're doing. They can't afford to go too hard at the wrong time. It could damage their training for the rest of the season. But look at this. Leon has come up. I tell you something, Leon's legs definitely do the talking. He's come out to play. I know he's on form on Tuesday, the race reports that came to us as we were driving up the length of the France and the UK coming through. Nice 12 hours of driving. On the way back, got stuck in a couple of spots on the way back, but a really fast little run back. Maybe actually 10 hours of driving, to be fair, because I did spend a bit of time in the services grabbing coffee, funnily enough for me. Now, our leading two on the way up. They're coming up to the top of the climb. Remember, we've still got a long way to go. We are at 33.5k. So as we go over the top, Mazzoni and Lindley have a 6-second lead to this group coming through. That's Murray, Oxenham, Jimmy Mack, and looks like Dale Williams in there. Richie Woodall just coming through. Harry Hudson just a little bit down at the back of this group. But this is, I'll tell you something, this is a big pack. Not sure I would want to be hunted by this group. And these are the guys who are chasing the leaders who went over the top. So this is the chasing group. They are chasing Mazzoni, Liam Mazzoni and Tom Lindley. They are the two leaders on the road at the moment. They have about 7, 8, 9. So they've got 7 seconds on Nick Murray, and they've got about 11 seconds on this group. Murray had an anvil on the way down. We saw him deploy that just coming in at the top. So that has allowed him to go down. But now we're just seeing Oxenham now, and you can see the effect this has. So Oxenham now with that anvil coming down here, he's using its great effect. He's powering him down. What he did is use the momentum with that and the power that he's putting in. He goes over the top of Murray. And it looks like neither Lindley nor Mazzoni had the anvil because he is coming up on the heels. In fact, there they are just in front. Russ saying, somebody needs to chase, I'm dead. Not sure they're going to believe you this time. I think the bear is fainting. Shout out, Mum and Dad. Oh, come on, mate. If you can type, you can pedal quicker. That's kind of how it works, surely, buddy. So here we go. 3 leaders. Leon on his way through. Simon going through. It is going to be Tom Lindley going through. Simon Oxenham, Liam Mazzoni, and Tom Lindley. 3 riders out front. The group behind are at 6 seconds. So at the moment it's John Wild, it is Nick Murray, Dale Williams, Richie Woodall, Thomas Donny, Harry Hudson, then Phil Oliver, then Russell Osman. Osman 36 seconds down on this leading group. Can Red drop an anvil? Yes, if it's going to help people. So you can always bin them, you know. You can bin your power-ups if you don't want them. But an anvil's not something to bin, just freewheel. So 3 leaders, 6 second. The gap. Williams and Mack leading the chase at the moment. So this is that chasing group. Just starting to fracture a little bit actually here. So John Wild in that green urban camo outfit. Jimmy Mack in the Wahoo kit. Just coming in and through there. Sonny in the black of St. Piran. Russ, of course, in his Downing cycling kit. Now working his way down here. It looks like Russ just sitting on this group, letting somebody else doing some chasing. And now at 10 seconds. And that's gone, says Mazzoni. Well, that's going to be very interesting to see because it is a very select group on the front. And without Russ doing the donkey work and chasing, I think this is going to be very difficult to come back. And it might be the second time in a long time that I've actually agreed. Now, Dale Williams saying the blob will get back on here. You can just see Oxton, Mazzoni and Lindley continuing to power on. Now Russ. Now, This is why nobody believes us when he says, oh, somebody else has got a chase, I'm dead. Because guess who's sprinting across the gap? It's going to be Russ Downing. He's going to make the catch, and here he comes. It's going to be Jimmy Mack behind, and then Dale Williams leading the group of 4. So Jimmy Mack in no man's land. He's about to catch on to the back. He's going to have to grab a pocket on the way through. So Jimmy Mack makes this 5. Now then, Tom Mazzoni is leading the chase behind here. So looks like Tom Mazzoni's going to come over the top. Lindley's going to drop in with this group. And who has been smart by sitting in here? Dale Williams has been playing it smart. He has not used his energy in the chase there. Neither has John Wild on the way through. So Dale Williams, John Wild not using any energy up on the way up through in that group. So 37.1k covered. This is your leading group. It contains Russ Downing. A quick reminder of those numbers once again. We are currently at 37.3k. The finish is at 47k. Let me remind you that 47k. That is some doing now. That means there is a long, long, long way to go. Who is going to get there? We've still got plenty of distance to cover now. Let's see who is going to go for this. Is anybody going to feel like they want to make the action here? This is the chasing duo here. So this is Group 2 on the road, and it is going to be a pair of riders. You've got Richie Woodall in the front and Harry Hudson behind. So these are your 2 chasers at the moment. Try and chase on to the group. So the group with Russ at the moment, this is your leaders on the road. Then you've got sort of Woodall in there now. Russ just putting in a little bit of a dig to get back on to the wheels. Coming up this little ramp. You can see the duo behind on that map, but you can't see them in that rearward view from Russ. It is Woodall and Hudson. They're about 16 seconds down. Then you've got the group now. This is the Sam Emsley group. So Sam Emsley in here. It looks like Taylor Leach in here. Russell Osman, Finley Hudson in this pack as well. Mason is in here. The Ghost in this gang. You've got Simon Booth in here. We've got Morgan Lloyd in this pack. Behind them then is a group which is Trenchard's group. And he's just off the front of Barr, Spencer, Hutchinson, Pillsworth, Richardson in there. Looks like Zach Hutchinson in this group as well. Zach going well here. Then 19 seconds further back is Sadler, Goodwin, Ambler, Dixon and Adams. Then it is Tracy from the Terminator herself on day number 3 for Tracy on the gang, coming in and through, riding very strongly at the moment in with this group. We're just going to work our way back further because I think it's the group behind. It's going to be this group that we can see that we've got Claire Richardson in here as well. So Richardson in this group on the road a little bit further back. We're just working our way back down. There are riders all over the place. Sean Ferron just on his way down. But we're back in with Jimmy Mack at the moment. Jimmy Mack is on the offensive, so there's a reason you can't see everybody because they're all behind him as we come up here. So Jimmy Mack leading out the chain gang at the moment. So the Wahoo rider just being closed down here. Liam Mazzoni just comes over the top of him as they come in to this section here. We're going to go underneath the gateway and in through the walls. You can just see tight right. Then it's a very left-hand spiral just coming in and around. We're going to start dropping back down on this spiral. We're going the opposite way, remember, to the way we've come up this. We're going both directions on here. We're going to go back out through the gatehouse underneath the road we've just come in. You can see the road diving down here. And now we're going to see who is really wanting to take this out. At the moment, Russ is coming down here. Liam Mazzoni is up at the front of this group, and he's pushing on here at the moment. He's up at nearly 6. In fact, he's over 6 watts per kilo, 6.2, 6.3. At the moment, for Mazzoni, 96 is pedal rest. Can't see what his heart rate's doing. No heart rate monitor on today. No, you actually need one. You know, I'm sure he knows it's beating really quite quickly. Behind him looks like Tom, Jimmy Mack, looks like Nick Murray, Simon Oxon, Dale Williams, John Wild, Tom Lindley. all in this pack with Russ down in our yellow beacon. The bear himself from down in cycling and bike flex. The Pro Espresso fueled rider on his way round. But at the moment, it is Mazzoni who's doing this work on his own. Currently a 2, now 3 second gap. Remember, we've got a long, long way to go. That finish line should come at 47k. That means we've still got 7k to go. Might have to have more coffee at this rate. I need fueling up with some OTE goodness on the way through. Don't forget, down at the bottom of your screen, 1080, the best Oakleys in the business. If you're listening, I have discovered a very, very nice surprise. Thank you very much. Some very nice shirts in there. Thank you very much, Emma, for liaising with your man on that. It is 1080 down there, the best Oakleys in business. My name's Matt. I do have an Oakley addiction, and got to say a big thank you to Ian for all of his support for the riders. Remember, if you're a member of the DCG gang, as we are, there is an extra discount from 1080 on all of the products in store. Don't forget, of course, Continental have been looking after our riders and handing out over £1,000 worth of tyres and goodies in Continental month on the way through. We saw Velaskin, of course, with that amazing prize, not just the big 20% discount, but also, of course, with the year's supply of chamois cream, which was won by Jimmy Allen, in fact, who managed to win that one. Halo, of course, with Haloing, £250 worth of Halo goodies going out, and discounts through the season, as well as that big 20% in their month. We've also, of course, got Gritty, 20% off the whole season long from Gritty. Neil, of course, regular rider on here, along with Caroline, and the Gritty Standard Sustainable Sports Apparel, the best in the business. Don't forget, you can catch up with them. I think they're going to be at the National Mountain Bike Round number 1. That's coming up this weekend. Going to be really interesting to see how they get on that. And of course, OTE looking after, I think 1 in 4 members got OTE goodies worth £25 on the very first of our sets of giveaways to kick off this season. Which of these supporters will be back? Will it be Nonna's doing a second month? Because Nonna's, of course, have 20% off for gang members at the restaurant in Sheffield, the award-winning Italian restaurant. And, of course, we've got that as well as that 20%. 5 riders are going to be getting that. It's going to be 2 riders on Tuesday's coverage. Will be drawn in Tuesday's draw, 1 rider in Wednesday's draw, and 2 riders on Thursday's draw. That means that we will total 5 lots of £50 vouchers for Nonna's. That means 5 sets of people. And who you take is up to you. If you want to go with all your mates down there and go see him, make sure you get in touch with Stefano, and Stefano will be able to look after you. One man who probably doesn't need any extra fueling, well, it's your leader on the road. That is Leon Mazzoni, who is currently 15 seconds clear. Yeah, 15 seconds clear of John Wild Tom Lindley. Leon Mazzoni is currently the man at the front now. Can anybody close him down? Let's take a little bit of a look behind. It's not looking very hopeful for the riders behind. They're at 11 seconds to Lindley. He is the rider with the closest at the moment. He's got that disc on, so he's going to have a good downhill on the way down. The rest of the group are coming. Simon Oxenham again is in the mix. We know, of course, that Lindley has won a fair few. Leon Mazzoni is a proven winner. We know that. The Manx man, certainly very, very fast indeed. Will he be able to hold on? How fast can the group behind go to try and close him down? If you take a look, he's just disappearing down underneath the riders. They go over the top of the spout, and it looks to me like a Russ has got something in the tank here. He's got an anvil, so Russ is on his way. Watch out, folks. It's a hyperactive bear on his way down. He's being fueled by added weight in the gravity. He's no longer just going to be a boring brown bear. He's gone for the full-on grizzly attack mode. And can he get himself across? Has he got enough in the tank to get to Liam Mazzoni? He's almost half the time gap down at the moment. And Russ from Backflex from Downey in cycling needs to keep on pushing here. He has got Mazzoni in his sights. Mazzoni's been working hard, but has Russ worked smart? Has he chosen his moment to close down on Leon Mazzoni? Right, remember, this is a course that uses that same climb. This is the ground where Russ streaked away to take that victory before. Can he do it again? This time he's got to finish it off in a crit circuit. Come on, if Downing can't do crits, who can? But he's up against an informed Leon Mazzoni, who looks like he has waited for the right moment. He pushed on, and Russ has stopped making ground on him at the moment. Behind the gap is 22 seconds back to John Wild from Leon Mazzoni. That is only Russ in touching distance. We have now 2.9k, 2.8k to the finish. We've already done 524 meters of climbing. We'll be going for nearly a 1 hour and 11 minutes. Still riding at 48 kph is Leon Mazzoni, and Russ has now got to answer this. But I'm not sure that Russ has got it in there, because Russ looks to be going backwards here a little bit. You can see that he's not kicking out as many watts per kilo. He put in that chasing effort, but I think Mazzoni does not want to go in and go into a sprint with Russ on his wheel. That is dangerous, and it looks to me like Russ has gone pop. He's saying he's dead now. Well, we know what happens when the bear says that. He usually goes, he's got it, says Russ. He's still got 2.3k to the finish. He's got basically almost the entirety of the crit circuit. Will it be a virtual lap of honour for Leon? Well, he is the man in front. Second place is Downing. Then it's Oxenham at the moment leading this group through, and they have shed bodies. It looks like Mazzoni spent too much time. He's on the back of this group. He's got to push. He spent too much time typing, not enough time doing some recovery. He's now come on. Can he close down 11 seconds on Russ? He's not going to make 26 seconds on Leon, who is down the road. Behind, you can see Lindley is tucked in here. John Wild is tucked in here. Murray is a bit further back, 4 seconds further down. Jimmy Mack, well, I think Jimmy now taking in the sights and sounds. Looking forward to seeing Jimmy when we go up for the World Championships. The big chasing group behind. This is a massive group coming down into town here. You can see them coming through. This is the nearest chase impact, but they are a long way down on our leaders. Now, this is the chasing group of 4. They are battling it out at the moment for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. However, they are closing down on Russ. Russ can see them behind him. He's up onto this. Does it remind you of a certain street in Court, Russ, this one? Coming up over the top. So he goes up over the top of the bank. The gap down to 4 seconds behind. Remember, Russ putting that big effort to close down Liam Mazzoni, and Russ will not want to give this away. There's going to be some professional pride there, trying to stay clear of Oxenham and Co on the way through. But look at Leon go. He's already into this little roller coaster section. He's carrying that momentum. He's holding those revs. Look at that, 105 revs per minute on the downhill. He rolls his way up here, really using that momentum to keep him going up and over the top. The gap is at 28 seconds at the moment, back 29 seconds now to Russ, and he's got an anvil still. He didn't use it earlier on the descent. He has saved it for the run in. He's not got far to go at all. I'll tell you something. The finish is just the other side of the square. It's directly to his left. If he was to look over, it's just on the other side of the square. He's going to come around. He goes around this little kink section here. And he's out by the side of the main buildings. He's going to take a left-hand turn now. He's coming up the riser to take him up to the upper levels, to the terrace above. Round he comes. One more turn. He's going to take this left-hand turn. He's going to line up for the finish. He's got 35 seconds on the group, which has just caught Downing. So that group is all together again behind. Mazzoni, though, is lining up for the finish. He's done an absolutely storming ride. He comes in to the final sprint section here. These final few hundred meters of sprint, they're not going to worry him at all. He has absolutely flown his way in. Our drone camera fights to stay up with him. Through the gantry he goes. What a win here today. Great ride by Leon to come through. And now they're on to the sprint, and Lindley's gone over the top. So Lindley went the moment they went round that corner. He's got the gap. He's going faster than our camera can go down this straight. He's going to just about get in front of him here. Massive sprint by Tom Lindley to take second place. It's going to be a third place. It's going to come down to the line. I think it's Mazzoni. And then it's going to be Oxenham and then Downing on the line. I'm going to let them argue about that themselves with John Wild coming in and through. Great riding by all of that group. Behind Nick Murray makes his way into the line. He's in 7th position. He's got a bit of a time gap on Jimmy Mack, who is on to his final turn, a left-hand turn, final corner for Jimmy. I'm sure he's going to make it round this one okay. You can see that finish, the Northern Lights going down over the finishing archway there. You can see as nighttime has fallen, Aurora Borealis just shining above the riders. A great way to finish, coming in to the finish here. And don't forget, of course, we have another set of rides next week as Jimmy Mack comes through here in Glasgow. Behind the sprint is on. Finley Hudson, I think, is going to have the bettering of Varty. Phil Oliver, Simon Booth, Taylor Leach are coming fast behind. I think it's going to be Booth who's going to get it, then Oliver, then Leach. And then it's going to be Morgan Lloyd. It's going to be Taylor, Osman and Emsley in that order. Then it should be Richie Woodall, the next man on to the straight just ahead of Wayne Barr. And it's going to be really interesting to see how our riders get on when they go up to race. Remember, the multidiscipline World Championships, not quite all of them. The Cyclocross World Cup will be in Tabor at the start of February next year. Looking forward to that one. Russ saying he's overcalculated the warm down. Sorry, gang. Russ, don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry about it. The warm down is fine. 5K. As long as you don't go up the hill, turn off before it. Now, looks like Hutchinson. Oh, he holds. Oh, does he hold on for it? I'm not sure there. Spencer came through like an absolute express train. So a really fast group making its way in. Next group on the way through, this is going to be Pearson being followed by Hudson. So left-hand turn coming up for Mr. Pearson. So great to see the shouts coming out to each other for the riders on there. Thanks from Wayne. Good to have you on board. Hutchinson in and through Pillsworth also the same. It's Pearson. He's going to be our next rider in to the line. Great ride there as he goes in and through. Then it's going to be Sadler coming in. So looks like next rider in over the line will be Chris Sadler. He's going to come in just ahead of John Dixon. Dixon closing down fast. Green and black of Bolsover on its way in. He's gone over the top of Harry Hudson. Hudson's going to finish just ahead of Goodwin. So in and through they go. Next up will be Matt Goodwin ahead of Dan Ambler. Should be Phil Scriven behind him, I think, as they come in through. Just going to get double check. I think it's a group coming in together by the look of the figures with Matt Nunn, Steve Wilson in there. But it is going to be Ambler. It's going to be our next rider in through the finish. Quick sprint by him. Now, Nunn is currently leading this out. Malin has got a massive sprint on him. We know that. And Malin is going to be side by side here as they're coming in to the line. They're coming up behind him as they come through. I think he just got that in through the finish. Hind in through Dixon Moore, in through Mick Clark going in. Now, next up will be Tracy City, the Terminator. On the way in to the finish. Behind is going to be the Dutch Pirate on his way through from the Box CC. But Tracy the Terminator comes in and through. Good ride by Tracy once again. Don't worry, you can get treatment for the addiction over the summer for riding on the DCG. Right, next up will be our Pirate on his way through. Dutch Pirate, the Don't Bunk CC rider. Going to be our next rider in and through the finish. Should be 41st place for Dutchy. And going to be coming in just ahead of Chris Lowe, Sean Ferron, Chris Goddard, Claire Richardson, Thomas Rollitt, Doug Main, Andrew McCarthy, Richard Langby. Still lots of riders out on the course, remember. So Vin in and through with that big group. Dutch goes through. Next up is going to be this pack here. And Ferren goes early. We know that Ferren has got a big old sprint on him. He's gone from the word go. The moment you come round that corner is when you need to kick, and that's what he's done. Plenty of practice here on the way through. So it's Ferren who's going to lead out to the line. Goddard's trying to come at him. Lowe can't get back to him. Now is going to be in that order. So it is going to be Ferren, Goddard and Lowe as they came through in that order. Now Claire Richardson and the Ionian squad going to be in and through over the line, followed then by Thomas Rollett. Another good ride by Thomas. He's just ahead of McCarthy, Langmead and Co as they come in to the line. So it's going to be Rich Langmead next, who's coming in after McCarthy. Cracking ride by everybody on DCG. A big thank you, of course, to everybody who's riding, keeping us all entertained, and of course to all the members of the DCG gang, Donny Chaingang Sports Club, who keep the ride on the road. The 45 or so individuals who are regularly donating and looking after our riders. A massive, massive thank you to those guys, because they basically keep the show on the road all the way through the year. Now, looks like Moore, the next finisher. He comes in over the line, so Benny Moore in ahead of Ian from the start on. Then it's going to be Tim Baggs. Tim, another of our great volunteers, volunteering to be a Red Beacon and getting his first Red Beacon role this season. Great to see Tim coming in and through. Nice one, buddy. And it's going to be Carl Johnson, another regular rider on the gang, a regular DCG member, just ahead of Keith Richards. Richards has got company, but looks like Johnson going to put in a final kick in over the line. Then it's going to be Gary Pattison. Pattison ahead of John Garfer at the moment, and Keith Richards. Richards is the nearest rider, so it's going to be Pattison who's going to hit the line first. Then it's going to be Keith Richards behind, followed by John Garford for the Royal Navy Royal Marine Cycling Association. He's going to be ahead of John Finney, who's approaching the line. The Stella Son rider has got a little bit of a gap to Dr. D. That's Rowan Dubash himself, who will be ahead of Dean Taylor. Taylor with Bailey just behind, so Andrew Bailey of Chefrec going to be following in to the line. Then it's going to be Trevor Crehan, and should be, I think, Andrew Priester behind him. So Trevor Crehan goes through, then it's Andrew Priester. Priester's got Bobby Mason with him for company here, so Bobby on his way through. Another of our regulars on the DCG gang. Bobby, get some socks on, mate. Go faster, guarantee it. So Bobby Mason and Andrew Priester on the way through. So we'll jump in with Mr. Priester, the Salter on his profile coming through. Good riding by him here in Glasgow. Comes through with Bobby Mason. They're in and done as Steve Cannon goes in towards the line. He's got 14 seconds on Kooslogs. Michael Hutchison, another of our regular Red Beacons. Apologies if I miss you out in the Red Beacon Roll of Honour. So Steve Cannon on the way through. Looks like Kooslogs, Gordon McKinley, Eddie Dench, Jim Flynn, John Gillard making their way around the course. They're still heading in towards our finish here today. Steve Cannon's in and through the line. Next up will be Michael Hutchison. He looks like this in real life as well. It's quite scary. Another of our Starton riders going through. Then it is going to be Gordon McKinley. So Gordon McKinley in through the line immediately behind him. There, good riding by Gordon. I think Eddie Dench will be our next rider through the line. So a massive thank you to Eddie. Very tough course to patrol on the way through. Trying to keep as many riders in contact for as long as possible. Real balancing act for our Red Beacons here today. So Eddie in and through, and you can just see Eddie rolling his way in. He's only got 5k in the ride as he goes through. So what a night. We've had an absolutely cracking course. Eddie just making his way in and through. And I'm going to jump from this screen like magic. I'm going over there for a second. You have to excuse me, because I am going to go find us another rider. I think we're going to find Jim Flynn. Here he is, Jim on the descent. So Jim on his way down. We'll watch Jim make his way down the descent here whilst we do a little bit of housekeeping. So don't forget, guys, support the people who support the gang. Whether that is with a new set of Oakleys, whether you want to be sitting as comfortable as possible on saddle, maybe Bill and me need to get a bit more aero. And then don't forget they've got some amazing shaving cream, shaving foam, shaving brush. Just get it done. Go quicker for less effort. Who doesn't want to do that? Got to say a massive thank you to the guys at Velocity. To Continental, of course. The guys with the new GP 5000 all season going out, along with bottles and caps to the guys on the gang. Over £1,000 of the prize given away by the team at Continental. A massive thank you to them and for all of their support. And they'll always be in our hearts, that is for sure, on the gang. Got to say a big thank you, of course, to Halo. Halo Wheels, keeping Russ on the road, keeping him powered and rolling as fast as possible for a long time now. So a big thank you to them. And, of course, for all their support. Halloween, part of the DNA, really, of the Donny Chaingang on the way through. Of course, to Gritty, Neil and Caroline, who are part of that team, who are regulars on the scene. We see them at lots and lots of events, as well as, of course, recording the Crosscast with Neil, and hopefully going to see them out in France a little bit later on in the year, out coming around some of the routes out there. Don't forget, of course, all powered by OTE. Got to say a big thank you to OTE. Not only do they keep me on the move, keep me refueled, but all the guys on the gang, Russ as well. And discounts for members of the DCG gangs, 20% discount off OTE. Not that you should need it, because it is the absolute business. Salted caramel, protein bars, just the business. Just the business. Just don't bother buying it. Just buy like a lorry load of them. In fact, we did. We were overweight going into France because of the volume we had with us. Recovery drink is absolutely amazing, as well as protein drink. Do it. Go faster. Guaranteed. It is absolutely astounding. Now, Russ, just wishing everybody to have a good weekend. Don't forget, lots of riding out there. The weather forecast is looking good for the weekend. If you are going out, stay safe. Make sure you get those rides in. Don't forget, if you remember the DCG gang, you will get the links coming through for the last week of Nonnas, who are, of course, the final of those supporters across the base of your screens on the ride underneath Jim's wheels. And Nonnas, of course, the place to go eat in Sheffield. The best Italian going. Amazing gluten-free options. Lots of great meals. Amazing desserts, great start, tasting the best hospitality in the business. Fantastic selection of wine. Drink responsibly, folks. Don't necessarily do what I do. Do as I say and drink responsibly, please. Also, a quick reminder. Don't forget, if you're a member of the DCG gang, book in with Stefano, and that will mean that you can get yourselves that 20% discount. There are going to be giveaways next week on the show. It'll be live on the Downhill Cycling YouTube channel, on the Full Speed Events YouTube channel, and of course on the Facebook page as well. Be coming from Full Speed Events Studios, hoping, fingers crossed, that we will have Emma, who is of course in charge of the WOW DCG, in with us for at least for the WOW DCG last one of the season. That's coming up on Wednesday. We've got a giveaway in that as well. So we're doing 2 giveaways on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday. That covers us off for the last of the giveaways and the last week of March. The routes, the links will go out to the members of the DCG gang first. You'll be getting your emails with those discount codes and the details of the draw. You will find, if you are not a member of the DCG gang, you can register in Norway. You don't have to join. Totally up to you. If you want to register, usual 25 hours to 1 hour before. Please, guys, make sure you get on there. Click that link, get registered. Please make sure you do register. There's a reason why this gang is the best behaved gang in the business, why it's got such a spirit of camaraderie, and why it's such a big family, because we look after everybody. And part of doing that is making sure we know who's on the gang. So make sure you register. Get the details in there. Don't make up names and email addresses. All it means is that I'm going to waste my time ringing you up, emailing you, or knocking on your door. Done all 3 this season. So please, guys, put your address, your details, whatever in there. It saves me coming around and finding out who you are for real life. You don't need me knocking on your door at early hours of the morning or finding out who you are off the internet and having to stalk you. It's not good news. Now, Jim Flynn in and through the line. Next of our riders in and done. Let's dive down with Jim, who now is in to the extensive warm down here on the circuit. So Jim on his way in to the finish. Oh, my apologies, Jim. Sorry, through the one of the banners. He's got the last legs to go. 47.5k. See, I'm getting all carried away talking about having to go around and tell people to get registered for the gang. So please do make sure you register. Jim, one of our regulars on the gang. We know exactly who Jim is. And we know Jim, when he's a member of the DCG game, of course, gets all of the access to the prize draws, etc. Now, Jim, on this final run around the circuit, is just ahead of John Gillard, who's our last rider out on course at the moment. Making his way in and through, just coming up the rise here. So, Jim, going to be our next finisher on the Donny Chaingang. Don't forget, more routes coming up. Russ about to put in the rides for the final month. Who will be our supporter in there? Well, I know, and a select few others know. Very few people know who it's going to be. What we can guarantee is everyone will love those giveaways. That's going to come after next week, which is the last week of the Donny Chaingang, supported by Nonnas down in Sheffield. Don't forget, we take the break from Wednesday nights, the last WoW DCG of this season. Coming up on Wednesday, please make sure you tune in, watch sport, get people on bikes, get them down there. It's going to be the last one before that summer break. We also will have the last DCG at the end of April. That's going to be coming up. We've then got a very busy summer. I know Russ has got lots planned on his way through in the summer. We've got lots here at Full Speed Events. So if you want to know what we're getting up to, what esports cycling we're covering, which real life at the World Championships we're going to be at, which of the mountain bike racing we're covering, where we're going to be, please, please, please make sure you give us a follow. So Russ is really easy at Downing Cycling, at Biflex, and of course Pro Espresso, Russ Downing. Don't forget you can follow Emmett at Biking Emma and at Full Speed Events, and of course you can follow me. It is Matt Fixerpain on pretty much every social media, as well as on Strava, on Zwift when I get the chance to go on, and all the rides are on there now. Great sprint by Jim Flynn to come in and under the banner. Good ride by him as he comes in and through. Well done, Jim. Another one done. Another one ticked off. He's going to be a rider with lots of DCGs in the bank. And a quick reminder, guys, don't forget, tell us how many DCGs you've been on. We want to know before the last one of the season, basically. So in the week between the penultimate, that's the one before the end, and the last DCG of the season, I want you to tell us how many Donny Chaingangs you've done since we started. Not just this season, but since we started. And if you were on the pre-rides, put those in as well. So if you were in part of those pre-rides that came out beforehand, put those in, count them up. So how many of the rides that Russ has been leading, that we've had Jimmy Allen on, Emma's been leading, what count WoW DCGs and DCGs. How many Donny Chaingang rides have you been on? We want to know so that we can know just how mad you all are, how dedicated you all are. Russ might even be able to work his out. I'm not sure I can work out how many I've actually ridden. One officially, and some of the pre-event ones. So I've actually ridden a few. I've talked about a lot more. I could work out the commentary eventually. I could work out the number of hours that we've been live. I refuse point blank to work out how many hours, days, weeks, months, years we put into the behind the scenes, but gotta say, worth it every time to see our riders coming in and through the finish. And a great gang tonight. Thank you everybody for playing the game. It's really easy. Stay with the Yellow Beacon. Everybody did it. We had an amazing finale. Great to see. And what a win by Liam Mazzoni. I mean, absolutely superb rider. And great to see him show some great form. I'm sure he and all of that St. Piran team are going to be having a great season coming through. Going to be catching up with them, I'm sure, at the National Crit Series. Going to be there. Some great events coming in. Don't forget, on the calendar provisionally at the moment, and there's lots of different versions of this. Looking forward to Otley, to Ilkley. Looking forward to going to Newark. That's definitely up. Speaking to John Lee and Chris Lawrence. Really looking forward to going to those. Hopefully going to be see you at Colne for the Grand Prix there. Lots of great racing coming up. Please make sure you dive in. Come and say hi. Give us a wave, even if we look like we're up to our eyeballs in it. Wave, message, text. We will pick them up eventually on the way through. Really is key. And really does make us smile on the way through. It's nice to get that interaction on the way through. We will pick it up at the end, even if we don't acknowledge you right at that moment in time. So whether that's up in Glasgow at the World Championships, or it is at Fort William, or whether it's going to be over at in Leithin, whether you're going to be in the velodrome, you're going to be on the downhill track, whether you're going to be in the indoor cycling, the BMX, any of the disciplines there, whether you're going to be at the XCE events out and around the world, out around the globe, whether you're going to be in the cyclocross, whatever you're doing over the summer, give us a shout. If you see us out in real life, then don't forget, I never turn down a coffee or an ice cream. It doesn't happen. Russ turns down both occasionally because he's a trained athlete, and Emma will tell me off about having both. So, but we'll quite happily take the ice cream and the coffee. But more importantly, we'd just like you to come up and say hi to us, and we can put some faces to the avatars, which is always great to do. So don't forget, of course, make sure you jump on to social media. Jump onto that Facebook page. Tell us how many FTPs you've improved, what your weight gain loss is, what you've done in terms of power, how much faster you're going, how much slower you're going, and how much fun you've had. Always looking forward to that. And, of course, get those numbers in for what you've been up to in terms of DCGs. Now, John Gillard on his way in to the finish. Well done, John. John completing the Donny Chaingang. He's going to come across in 69th place out of 93 because, of course, not everybody has the full-time allowance to finish. So John, our final finisher, out on the course today. And that means all that remains is for me to say thank you for watching. Make sure you support the people who support the Chaingang. They're just over there. I'm going to get out on the bike tomorrow. If you see us tomorrow, I am heading for a coffee shop, believe me. So stay safe. We'll catch up with you soon. Don't forget, we're going to be online right the way through to our next Donny Chaingang on Tuesday. And details of our next rise on the Chaingang coming right up. Stay safe. See you soon. Bye-bye.